Well, hello, everybody. Yet again, part two of the Restorecast. We're sure honored that you're here with us today. Boy, our part one, our premiere was really received well. I got a lot of emails, a lot of messages, and it was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool thinking back and seeing a lot of the pictures, and that's really why I have here again someone that knows my life. He and his wife both have been with me for a lot of years. We heard a little bit of their story last time, but Chris Bailey is going to interview again for part two of the Restorecast premiere, if you will, really what happened, the whole background of everything. And in part one, we went from everything from my childhood to what happened with, my introduction into professional athletes and athletic world, working with Infinity 2, and then that being transitioned over to EcoQuest, and then the problem with that, me leaving there. We talked a little tiny bit about my transition into a company called Enagic and alkaline water. And that's really where part two is going to pick up, is right there. And from there, everything under and behind the screen, behind the curtain, about the rise and the fall of Core Health Products. That was started as my baby, and we're going to talk about it. So Chris, you did a great job last time. A lot of comments on what a great interviewer you are. And so, man, I throw it back to you and say thank you again.
Hey, Shan, working with you over the years, it's been easy to really grasp this story, because you know what? I lived this next part, right? Me and Liz, we lived Core Health. People always asked us for so many years, do you like your job? And it was like, well, we didn't really have a job. Core Health was just part of our life, is what we did. And so, I'm super excited for this part. Part one, I got to live just a little bit of those EcoQuest years, but just got to see you from afar and got to learn the stories and all of those things. It was absolutely amazing for so many different things. But I'm so excited for today, because we're going to really jump into a 10-year journey, really, like 10 to 12, so much of really good stuff that just was, we thought we were on this plateau of like creating something that was life lasting, because it was built on all these principles that we really believed in. So let's pick up the story again. Let's start. Let's not jump and waste any time here. So here you are in your story. You're in this company called Enagic now, and this is the alkalizing water systems that really are just now providing income for your family, providing something new that you've never been able to offer athletes before in hydration. And then you became a speaker for that company, right? So here you are. And that was about a year, right? You worked that for about a year before even thinking you wanted to get Core Health up and running, correct?
Yeah. Once I got let go, right there at Christmas and New Year's, and it was devastating, and my income went to zero. I had to do something, Chris, and I'll tell you, as you heard me say last time, it was then and there really that was the first time that I said to myself, I'm not going to allow myself to be put in a position anymore to have someone else hire and fire me. And so I really started then thinking about, okay, I have to own my own company. I know all these years of experience with, again, Dr. Kim Shahani and Dr. Stan Bynum and Betsy Meshbesher and the Ashmeads and, Infinity 2. And having worked with sports teams, I got to work with a lot of very unique doctors and specialists and trainers. So I knew that I wanted to do my own company. But Chris, having got let go like that, I didn't have nowhere near the amount of money it would take to start a company. And so I did. I found something, and thank goodness it was dropped right in my lap, right towards the end of the EcoQuest days anyway. But it was Enagic, and it was about sharing and helping people become more alkaline. And so I threw myself into that. always with the goal in mind, though, that as soon as I could, I would have enough money to start my new company, which then became, Core Health Products. But that's really how it started, Chris. Is I just said, no more. I'm doing it on my own. No one protects your dreams, your mission, your family, your kids, your integrity like you do yourself. And so that's what I knew I was going to do.
Well, what's super interesting, I think that most people don't, they see Shan as the guy that helped formulate products, do all these things. When you first started the company, and we're going to get into some really origins of the company that are really personal to you here in a second, but you were not the formulator at Infinity 2.
Mm-hmm.
You were not the owner at Infinity 2. You weren't the owner at EcoQuest, right? You were the guy presenting information. You were the guy working with the athletes. You were the hands-on guy doing all of that kind of work. And then you were like, if I start something, you're the everything man all at once. Everything you've learned. Now, not to say you didn't get to be around ownership. It's not that you didn't have to be in charge of programs. It's not that you didn't get to learn formulation and how to do things, but those weren't your jobs. They weren't your fortes. And all of a sudden here you're propelled into this role of, whether you formulate everything or now you have to outsource. Now you have to work with people. Now you got to figure these things out all on your own. In that year of time when you knew, hey, I want to create something, how much of your, well, I don't know how to do that well, or I didn't know how to do this well, how much of that kept you back, from even going, well, I don't know if I could even really just own my own company? Was that ever part of your thought process of even those early days when you didn't have anything?
No, it wasn't. That's one of the blessings of having worked with some of the greatest in the industry. I learned from bad decisions that people made just as much as I learned from good decisions. And I look over those previous years with companies, and there were some, in my opinion, terrible decisions that were made. And so really that year in there where I was trying to scrape together the money to start Core Health Products, I don't think I was ever too worried or concerned, because I had learned a lot of things from some great people, some great businessmen, some terrible businessmen, some ethical people, some unethical people. So I'd learned a lot. I think I was ready for that part. But with all of that, you either grind and scrape enough money together to start it on your own, or you get investors. And at that time, that was absolutely not a possibility, not even in the vocabulary, because I was tired of anybody being able to dictate what I and or my family could or couldn't do. So yeah, I was just scraping the money together. I can remember, honestly, I remember Jody, my wife, she and I were selling things on Craigslist of all places. Some of her jewelry. I remember we sold quite a bit of her jewelry, and some of our, toys like quads or three-wheelers or four-wheelers or whatever. And we were trying to get that money together over that period of time. And it took about a year. Yeah.
Well, I want to show everybody this. This isn't too bad.
Okay.
Tell us the story, because Shan, this was a very common design, right? We see that man image in a lot of things, but this is very personal to you. This is something that you put together with your family in that creation of coming up with a name, and then obviously coming up with the logo. Tell us that story.
Yeah, this will always and forever be very, personal. And put it back up there, Chris. So my family and I tried to include them in as much as possible. And we spent a lot of time together. And this whole design, name, everything was put together by us down in my basement. And we went through a lot of different versions of it, but we knew right from the very beginning that we wanted to do something that started in the core, that had to do with core, especially even at the time, core strength was really talked about a lot. And, I don't know, you go back to your core really means something. And it did at that time. And the whole family were like, yeah, that's it. That's Core Health Products. That's the name of the company. But then to put something around it, I came up with with the sign of the body, the yellow greenish part there. And in the first creation, over the years, it kind of shifted a little bit to be more balanced. But in the creation, the capital H was actually the body, the in between the top swoosh and the bottom swoosh. And so that whole running man was moved to the right about an inch, and the H was the body. And then over the years, you get graphic designs and you get input, and just to make it square and more, I don't know all of that, but it got moved over to the left. But yeah, man, when we came up with this and we finalized it, I can remember the whole family, all of us just thinking that this was it. And it was, man, this was our baby, Chris. My wife, my kids, we had all put a lot of time, effort, and sold things and gave our time up for a year to be able to launch Core Health products.
Yeah, I think it was because, all the hurt that you have gone through, the years of, working at Infinity, then getting transition over to EcoQuest, and finally, for once, right? You're over at Enagic. You're doing well over there. You shot up in the ranks up there to what 6A2 really quickly, and you were moving a lot of machines, and you had a lot of great things that were taking place. But for those are, yes, Enagic is your own business within a mindset of a business, but you don't own the product. It's not your baby. It's
right.
It's a philosophy. It's a principle. It's a product. But for once, you had something that was yours, that nobody could touch. It was your family. It was something that you desired to hand down to your children. It was something that you wanted to be the staple rock of not only your livelihood for income, but to be that base for flexibility in your life, to spend time at home, travel a lot. But when you because you were the owner, you could control this. If you said, hey, I didn't want to do something, you didn't have to do something. And I think that was the beauty, right? This was for once your baby, as you said it so many different times. And and you had all the contacts. I think you had so much confidence going into this. And obviously you needed to build a team. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about, how you decided, what you were going to do early on. You worked with a graphic designer over at Infinity 2. He did all the early packaging. Why don't you tell us about how you went back to some of these people, even the formulation team, right? Because the original formulas weren't done by you, right?
Yeah, that is true. A lot of people don't know that. So over that year period of time, getting the money and everything together, but also getting those contacts and people together, and a lot of it, I did go back to the old Infinity days and the people that were there. Obviously at this time they were no longer there. So I did. I went back to a graphic designer that I had become close friends with. You know very well, and have become close friends with them. Great individual, William Allier, and man, he started putting some stuff together and helping with the design, things that I didn't have a grasp on. Back then, it's not like today. Today you can jump online and you can create pretty much anything graphically or whatever else. It was tough. And then the formulation wise, I knew exactly what I wanted, but I didn't quite have experience enough to know exactly how much of each, enzyme or probiotic or prebiotic for it to be properly formulated. And so I went back to some of the early designers and formulators from Infinity that had moved on and actually started their own formulation company. And so that was really how it started. And I can remember, Chris, when we finally had enough to what my wife and I said, okay, we can get our first batch or lot, if you will, of products. We had enough money to buy one lot, minimum purchase of the enzyme product, which that product was the very first of what I believe launched us, because especially then I had taught that without enzymes we die. We know that. Enzymes are in every living food, every raw fruit, vegetable, grain, leaf, animal, meat. If it's living, it has enzymes. And so why would we take the enzymes out or eat food or supplements without enzymes in it? We're basically saying, hey, God, I'm smarter than you are. I know you put this in everything, but we take it out. So that first product was really the launch. And the funny thing is, I wish I had the picture right now. Maybe sometime we'll find it and put it up. But that the product that we thought was so expensive and had to spend so much money that we scrapped together um, came, and I was expecting it to be this big old bunch of product, and it came on a pallet, and I think there were like 5 square, 24-inch by 24-inch, maybe not even that big, 12 by 12 boxes on this pallet that was only about a foot high, 2 feet high. And I remember my wife and I sitting on it as they unloaded it out in the porch, actually, and there was nothing there. It was all of our money, and I think we had maybe 2,000 bottles max, max, max. And yeah, so as we go on into the story, it goes that after that, when we would order product, it would be brought in on semi trucks. We were ordering that much product, but that's really where it all started. And I remember when it got real, and we were sitting there and we got that picture of us and these product. Now it was like, wait, now we have to sell this stuff. And that's when we launched Core Health Products, and it just really, really, really took off. As you know, you were a big part of that. You were in charge of, as you are now, handling everything from information to the field to customer relations, customer service, order taking. Between you and Liz, I think people called in and talked to you more than they talked to me, because you probably had more information than I had.
Well, let's take that part back right here. So here you are, those early formation days. I am at this point still struggling from the EcoQuest days, which actually left us in a really bad financial state. And we were just doing anything to scrimp to save by. We were actually using the technology from EcoQuest to do things with their laundry system to uh, carpet clean. We were painting. We were doing house cleanouts. We were doing anything we could do to survive. And at this point in my life, I had developed some health issues after a stomach bug due to stress and everything. I ended up, as years later, through biofeedback, discovered I had a stuck ileocecal valve, which is causing all sorts of stuff to come back up into my gut. And so constant nausea, constant everything. And, I'm sitting here talking to you on the phone. I remember very clearly I'm at this house and we're tearing down wallpaper on in a 1950 style home, which is been on there since the 50s. And I'm scraping this, and you're saying I'm getting close. I'm getting close, and because at that point you're like, hey, I want you to sort of be just like a distributor for me. Sell the product, do what you were doing at Infinity, EcoQuest days. And this was a great opportunity. We're going, wow, this would be great. We've got some customers, we can make extra money. I had gotten so sick, I was knocked out for 3 months. So in this period of time, I was like super sick. And I think I was bed stricken for literally 90 something days. And as that started to improve, here again, now I get this call again from you. We're ready to launch. And I think it was me saying, hey, well, you need to get some Facebook marketing, because that was brand new at that time. You get a business page, do all these things. You're like, man, I don't know how to do any of that. And I'm going, well, I really don't either, but I can help you out. You want me to help you out? And you're like, sure, if you would like to help me out. And I think what happened and occurred from there, you had kicked off your affiliate program. So we became part of the affiliate system. We started helping with some conference calls, doing these things. And I sort of was unofficially, working for you, from the start of the company, which was, I believe, May of 2010. And, just like your story with the Infinity, right? You walked into the Infinity office and said, well, you can't pay me,
Yep.
so I'll work for you for X amount of months. And so that's what we did, right? And so
Yep.
I think it was, we helped with conference calls. We got those things up and rocking and rolling. And December, you were able to pay enough for me to quit the small job that I had as a startup. And I said, hey, if you could pay me this, I can quit, come full time for you. And you said, done, let's do it.
Yep.
I went on a limb. We all went on a limb. And, right from there, I think it was because Liz was helping me. Liz wasn't even an official employee.
She
So
wasn't.
that was yeah, right around December of 2010. I started to work for you as a paid employee. But you had Will as a graphic designer, as a he wasn't even like employee. He was like a self-contracted
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
approach. You only got him a few days a week.
Yep.
You had your sister-in-law at that point as your accountant,
Yep.
and you ended up having Jody do all the shipping.
Yep. Yep.
So, and then it was you, and that was it. That was
See?
that was the skeleton crew that started it. And I'll tell you what a ride, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
was, I think it was January. I took over the affiliate program for you,
Yep.
and you're like, gosh, thank you. I don't want to do this part any longer. So I became in charge of the affiliate program January of 2011, and that became my baby. I ran with that. All
Yep.
of those clients, everybody I took, tried to take as good a care of as I possibly can. So if you guys are watching this, I've been trying to take care of you since day one.
Yes.
And that early days of, we were just having a lot of fun. You know
Yeah.
what? We weren't really going, okay, we need to make millions of dollars. It wasn't about that at that point. It was saying, I think the fun in that was just that growth period of just trying to grow it. And, you were excited being on the phone all the time. Because correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't even gained NSF certification at this point.
Right. We
Getting
did. We
close.
didn't have certification on the core health product at that time
Yeah.
because it was ridiculously expensive. And
Mhm.
as I said, I didn't have, 60, 70, 80 grand, 100 grand to drop on. I didn't have $100, much less. And that was right when I was like, wait, guys, I put this whole program together for you at NSF. I set you up with MLB. I had the first product ever certified through you guys. And why can't I get a break? Well, it's just the way it is. And so to this day, I have no problem saying to this day, there's a little sting that, I can't afford to pay for that type of certification when really all that's going to be sold, the most that was ever sold, like the New York Yankees, for example, they bought a lot of product from me, and I don't give product away, as you know, but a lot of product for when you're only talking about 20 different people or so, and some of them don't take it, at the end of the year, you might have sold 10, 15, $20,000 worth of product to a team. So there's no way you can justify $100,000 or whatever to get a certification that isn't going to come anywhere close to even covering the cost of it. They're not giving any breaks. So you're right. At that time, we didn't have the certification, but that's when it was, Chris, that's when it was fun, man. And the reason it was fun is because we all, every day or every other day on our morning meeting, we had the same mission. We have the same belief. We have the same views. We have the same commitments to our customers. We have the same driving force saying we are doing something here that is changing the health of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our mission every single day. And we did it so organically. It wasn't so much about, Chris, I'm still broke, and my wife and kids are still broke, and you guys are still broke. That wasn't the discussion. The discussion was, how do we get more people understanding the value of digestive enzymes and probiotics and prebiotics and the difference of whole food vitamins and synthetic vitamins and what are amino acid chelated minerals and what kind of information can we get out there that's going to help someone find the value in alkaline water. And that was what we drove and strived for every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, I put that program in place for myself. And I don't know, you guys adopted it to some degree, whatever. But I had a goal that 5 a day, meaning every single day, no matter what I was doing, I would at least call 5 customers just to say hi or just leave a message or how's that, we tried to find out names of their kids. And I mean, we really cared about the people that were benefiting from our products and supporting us. And there were a lot of them, Chris.
Yeah.
That's what made those days fun. And we were, as you know, we were growing. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, so you started doing, all the events you could do, anything you could do to get in front of groups of people.
Anything.
Because that's really where the message was, right? And, if you look at the Enagic crowd, they already believed in our principles without understanding they believed in our principles because of the book, The Enzyme Factor.
Yeah.
That is sold at every event and of those years. And here you are teaching the same principles of that book: enzymes, probiotics, alkaline water.
Yeah.
And I think you were teaching a message at that point that was not only refreshing for people to hear because it got real results, it was genuine and honest. And that's where so many of our customers, our doctors and all the people that started coming into the company. But that did leave you at that same place that you've always been at, those Infinity EcoQuest years. I know you loved it in the beginning, but even I'm sure even in those first few years, traveling so much was still tough on your family.
Well, at the end of the last year, whatever of EcoQuest, I mean, look at that last summer, 90 days of summer. Remember we called it 90 days of summer,
Mm-hmm.
Chris. And that 90 days of summer, it was my job somehow to do at least one event every single day in a different city for 90 days. And I did 90, just short of 90. I think it ended up 80 something events in 90 days. And there were times I would fly, specifically lay over in Phoenix. My wife would meet me at the airport so we could exchange suitcases. I would give her all my old my dirty clothes. She would give me a suitcase of nice, clean clothes. And she was always so sweet. She would put the socks that I was supposed to wear in the shirt pocket that I was supposed to wear it with that shirt. And she would make sure that they were, because she knew I would mess it up. I put white socks with a black shirt and, So there were days, Chris, that I'd do 2 different events in 2 different cities. I'd do one at 10 o'clock a.m. in, somewhere. And then sometimes I'd jump on a plane or sometimes I'd drive and would do another event that night. But I'm coming off of that into owning my own company with the same work ethic, but realizing I need to be doing this event, and I'm invited to go do this here. But wait a minute, we're almost out of boxes, and we got to get everything shipped to my customers. And we don't have any packing tape. We're out of peanuts. Where do we order those from? What's our inventory at? This person's calling. They want a refund because blah 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 blah. It was just 1,000 things. And so even though at the end of, say, a year, we had really skyrocketed and I was doing events, Enagic events, Enagic customers were growing like crazy. We were touching lives, changing lives. But Chris, I was burning the candle at both ends and a lot of times in the middle as well. And that, that's really where I was just like, I don't know if I can keep doing it at this level. I've got to start bringing people in or looking at other options.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that. So the next person that came in to ease a load, right? So, and she was already working with us, but she wasn't on the book. She wasn't official. And she wasn't really doing much. And, she would see our emails that we would do because we were doing, I think they were like in constant contact at that point.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just blocks and all sorts of crazy chaos. And I would send you a template of it. Oh, this looks great, and you would go in and highlight and do a bunch of things, and then this person would come in and go, oh, this is bad, guys, this is bad. And so that was Liz, right? So here comes Liz, and Liz was, it's no surprise here. So you're extremely busy doing a ton of stuff. For some reason, I developed into, hey, I'm the idea guy. So I came up with the ideas, and everybody else started to execute them, because I wasn't a great writer. I'm not, great at a lot of things. And so here comes Liz. She starts our marketing, social media, all of our emails, which then turned into, later down the road, blog writings and those things. And so when Liz came aboard, we jumped up and grew huge, right? We gained a whole nother level of professionalism on all sorts of different levels. And we're like, wow, we're really looking like a real company here. Real emails, real social media post, nice graphics. So she's working directly with Will. They're creating a brand, right? There's a branding that's happening to this, when we're just guys going, hey, let's, I'm the guy, if you call me, I'm going to teach about, how much product you should take, what you should do, give you some extra advice, probably talk your ear off. I'm that guy. And you would always tell me in those early years, hey, you can't spend so much time with the customer. You got to jump to the next one. I'm going, but they need this, Shan. And you go, hey, you got to prioritize your time. And then over time, you'd go, do whatever you need to. Yep. I don't care anymore. Just do what you need to do, because we need to make these. We need to not let that customer leave with information that you have on something else that may help them. Yep. And your job was just to get in front of people and make your, do what you do. And so here comes Liz. We're starting to really grow. And, I think that was the point of that next year, because she came on almost a year later, right? So I think it was like almost December of that next year. Yep. But she had already been doing some things. And so here's the first 2 years of the company. Now it's looking like, Jody's still shipping. You're running the thing. We got Will, we got Charlene, and it's me and Liz. And now so we gained one person, right? So we're still doing well. We've never grown much bigger than that. We'll get into that, but that was when something was really developing, a really tight core of this person does this person does that. It all comes together, and it's just working, right? That there was like a magical formula. And I think one of the biggest things I'll say about you is you came from micromanaging, where you were micromanaged by other people before, specifically at EcoQuest, potentially, where, hey, where's Shan? What are you doing? You need to be doing this. We live in Ohio. You live in Arizona. You didn't micromanage us. You just trusted that we were doing what we should be doing. And for us, that was great, because that, we wanted to obviously start a family, those things. And so, that is the early formation right there of that really solid core of Core Health products.
Well, let me say, you and Liz probably have never gotten the credit that you deserve, whether it be from my mouth or from people. Everybody knows you guys, everybody loves you guys, but Liz coming in was the best thing that ever happened to Core Health products, at least up until that time, and potentially forever. And the reason being is we had passion. Of course, you and I, we would do anything for anybody that was interested in learning really how the body works. How do we help them get over this? How do we help their kids that are having, GI issues? How do we help someone that's, got this issue going on, that issue going on? How do we help someone that's got anemia, or their doctor told them that they got osteoporosis? How do we help them? We would do anything for any of them. We were laser focused on service and service and service and service. Liz came in, and instead of like a typical, graphics marketer and everything being about, educate, then sell, 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 and then send a little trickle about, what is vitamin C, but then drive them and you got to put an actionable, clickable button there so they buy. It was never like that for Liz, even though you guys and all of us, we were struggling financially. But Liz came in and found a way to take us even higher, servicing more people around education. And, to this day, I doubt there's a true marketing company that would look back at what we did and say, oh, good job, guys, because we did not do hardly anything about sales. Every email, every, blog, it was all about education. And that became something that we were known for. Core Health Products will educate you on enzymes, on probiotics. You can go to their site. You're not going to get sales thrown down your face. We had a ton of educational pieces on our site, and all of that came from Liz with the final touches on it. And she found a way to take a company that really was terrible at sales, but we grew with sales because she found a way to take my information, put it in a form that people said, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And then we were able to mass produce it in our emails and our conference calls and all of that kind of stuff. So, you and she together, putting that stuff out there the way that we did was very unique. And as we'll get into, other companies that are larger, more of the retail, large corporate companies, they look at that and they say, oh, you're terrible at marketing. And that ultimately, as you know, Chris, was the beginning of the downfall of Core Health Products.
Yeah. And so I'm going to share a first picture here. This was us. Wow. This is really making us feel old at this point. So this was those first 2 years of the company. I believe this was when we did an Ohio tour. Boy, those are some really fun days when we'd have you come up and do Ohio tours and Pennsylvania tours, and we would travel. And we had some great groups that we'd go out to. We specifically had the Irwin group, which I've got a picture of them as well. And that they were up in the PA area, and we used to go and do that back in the day. So yeah, some really good stuff. In those first few years of just getting this going. And for me and Liz, I mean,
here we are. Chris, look at the miles that we put on in cars. We would throw crap together and then off we'd go do an event, especially in Ohio. And you knew I'm going to tell this story.
Hey, I knew you had to tell the story.
You knew I'm going to tell it. Because Liz, always attention to detail. It's got to be midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. We had done events all day long. Mm-hmm. Snowing like crazy outside, icy road. If you know Chris and or Liz, you know that they worry about that stuff anyway. But we're going through a town, and Liz is like, Chris, we really need gas. Nah, we're fine. We're good. I just want to get home. Nah, I'm fine. We get halfway in between the next town, and there's snow on the ground, ice on the roads, and all of a sudden, out of gas. 1 o'clock, whatever it was in the morning. I can remember Liz just steaming. She was so upset. So you and I jump out, and we're going to push the car into the next town, and we couldn't even get it 100 yards down the road.
And that's when that cop showed up, and he went and took you. I think he took you up to the gas station to bring.
Thank goodness, man.
Yeah,
Liz was so mad.
I'll tell you, those were the fun days. Those were, those days of running out of gas. But you know what? I always told people we were a small company doing big things, right? So here you are. You were dubbed the nutritionist to the pros, but you're running this whole entire business. Most people don't even realize as well. They always thought Core Health Products was this huge entity that was, had its own building, had its own huge shipping department. We're going, it's ran by a handful of people who don't even live in the same state. And we were, really, we were running things out of our home. Nowadays, back then you probably were embarrassed to say that, right? Because nobody ran businesses out of their home. Nowadays it's the norm, especially
Right.
after COVID, right? It's you work from home. Who doesn't work from home nowadays,
We
right?
couldn't afford offices. We couldn't afford, chairs or desks
Yeah.
and we were putting every cent, Chris, back into the company
Hmm.
in every aspect of it.
Yep.
Every month it was getting put back into the company, and I was getting more and more and more tired and doing more and more and more events, but we loved it because we had a mission and we were growing at grassroots.
Hmm.
We knew that if we started to, deviate from that, then we were going to be in trouble. And that's what kept taking us and taking us. But eventually I was getting burnt out.
Yeah, I'll say this. So as amazing as you were, because if anybody's seen you speak, everybody go, people still call and go, tell Shan I said hi. He spoke to me for about an hour at an event back in 2011. And I'll go, yep, I'll tell him about you. Shan won't remember you because he does that for every single person at every event. Um, Not that he wants to forget people. It's just the fact is that's what you were. Now that's your strong point. Talking nutrition, presenting information. Your weakness at those events were actually standing behind your table and selling product. You did such a terrible job at that. We would yell at you. Did you bring the order form? What's an order form? We don't even have that made up. Oh, okay, let's go. Did you take enough product? Yeah, and then you're behind the table and you're going, I can't talk to people and sell product at the same time. So thus, this was our next group that came in, which really took us to a whole nother level of continual growth, which was when you met two gals who ran their own water store, which was Trisha and Debbie, two sisters out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And here they are at an event saying, I can be that for you, Shan. And they became, initially early on, Trisha and Debbie were your traveling compadres who really ran everything for you at the table. You didn't have to blink an eye, do anything over there. You just talked to people and they took the orders, they did all the things there, and they were so instrumental in this next period of growth where really we went from hey, we're a small company doing things to, oh my gosh, we're kind of growing a little out of control here. And it was amazing. And they were part of that next journey.
Yeah, these are two more people that, as I am where I am right now, and I look back and situations like this, this really is what the Restore Cast is all about. Is, if nothing else, it has caused me to reflect and think about things and what others did for me and with us. Um, I will publicly say right now, Trisha and Debbie to this day have never gotten the everything they deserve for what they did for me and us.
Mhm.
They just haven't, and I wished at the time I could have done more and better for them, Chris. There were times, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but there were times that they would fly to events on their own expense to help me at the table, and they did it over and over and over and over, and I always dreamed that there would come a day where I could really pay back, if you will. And I don't even, I don't even know that it's about financial, but I don't think they've ever, because of what happened and what happened with Core Health in the end, just as we were really getting there, so to speak. Um, yeah, I will forever, forever, forever appreciate both of them. They were a big part of, of what we were becoming, and we, because of decisions or whatever, they've just never been really recognized the way they should have.
Yeah, and I think because of that, Debbie ultimately, she took a break away from doing the events, and then it was basically just you and Trisha that were doing the traveling and doing all of that, and she became then part of our Monday, Tuesday morning conference call, and I think those were some really amazing times at that point. Shan jumped off because he's wiping those tears. That's what's going to happen on this Storecast. You don't know what's going to happen, and if I ask questions, I may spark Shan to tear up. But this is where we started developing, really what the protocols were, and I got blessed in a way, for once in my life, to I was already doing ideas before, but I would roll with ideas, and all of a sudden it was extremely respected. And now Liz is in place to do the marketing. Trisha's in charge of helping get to a handful of these retailers and work the magic over there. Will is taking these ideas and making them look pretty. And Shan's just getting out there and doing presentations on them and running the day to day from his side. And then I'm taking calls. I mean, this is what it was like. Did we have challenges during those years? Was it all perfect? It wasn't. It was, hey, Shan needs to do this. Hey, Chris, you need to do this. Why aren't you doing it like that? What, there was stuff like that happened. But at the end of the day, nobody ever walked away upset with each other. Nobody, I mean, there was nothing ever in those early formations of those days when we were all on that same page, just completely, rocking and rolling. I'll tell you, here we are, in the line of that story, when, because Trisha ultimately decided she was going to buy a magazine, and she owned a magazine, and when she purchased that magazine, and she completely walked away from us, not because of animosity or anything. um Sales from events would drop, and things were starting to happen in that regards. And ultimately through the years, everybody that was a part of that team, when we were running as a tight niche group, when they did step away, for whatever reason, we kind of fell off of our game, because I think at that point we were all building for a common goal of, we're all going to be established, it's all going to be taken care of, because we were doing very well. We had, I would say this, out of every company, if we're going to toot our own horn during those years, we may not have had the best sales by far. Bigger companies, we're never going to touch those types of people. It wasn't about that. But I will tell you this, if we're looking at it from a financial standpoint, customer retention was over 95%. Our retention rate on a customer to get them back from multiple sales in a row was at 95%. And you know why that was, Shan? Is because they were just as much a family to us as we were to them. We didn't care about turn them and burn them and try to find new blood. It was about, they were part of us. And I think a lot of those people, to this day, I will say this: we have an 800 number that's connected to an accidental number from some medical supply company. We get just as many calls from that company as we do calls coming in on that line today. So we may have to change that at one point. So that's our publicly saying, hey, maybe we may have to change that because we're getting too many calls for another company. People only call me on my cell phone now. I mean, back in 2010, 11, 12, that was extremely unprofessional. Today, it's just commonplace and normal. And that's because I have a relationship with those people. Yeah. When people contact you, Shan, they're not contacting the 800 number. They're sending you an email. They're sending you a text, say, Shan, hey, I need to order this. It's because we're just part of people's lives. And that's what our goal is. Our goal wasn't to be this huge household name to where we were untouchable. Shan, you were the nutritionist to the pros. I mean, some of the things, right? I mean, we can go through, some of these pictures, that we'll go through. You were back doing everything at Infinity once you got NSF, and to toot your own horn at this point, something you had never achieved at Infinity 2, that we did at Core Health Products. We had landed 28 of the 30 Major League Baseball teams. You did
Yep.
not do that in Infinity 2. You only did that at Core Health Products.
Yeah.
There's nobody I can tell you living saying that they own a small company that has done that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely right on that. Outside of the Nikes and the Gatorades, I don't know that there's any company out there, big or small, that can really say that, from especially from a nutritional side. That goes back to, again, going from event to event, to team to clubhouse to, it was tough. And I will also say, a lot of people, might be thinking, or have thought in the past, or wondering now, well, you keep talking about how well and fast Core Health Products is growing and stuff, but yet you're still talking financially that you guys were, you weren't making a lot of money yet, and you weren't able to really pay Chris and Liz and everyone else the amounts that they deserved, especially, some they're just a lot of them. They're just a lot of them. But the reason was, Chris, we started with one product that took every cent I had. And to buy a product or launch a new product, it would take, roughly $20,000 to $30,000 minimum back in that day and age. And so to put aside, as we're trying to do everything, $20,000, $30,000 to get our next product, and then our next product, and then our next product. But we were all in that same mission of, hey, we can take a bonus, or we can launch this product that we know people need. Cholesterol was such an issue, and is still now today. I can remember Chris just saying, we have to come out with a heart product. We have to come out with a product that's going to help reduce the cholesterol. Started saving money, put enough money aside, would get a new product, we're broke again. Go out there, grind, only to find Chris saying, I don't care if I get paid this month. We got to have something that's going to help people with joint issues. Buy a new one, another $20,000, $30,000. And that's just recurring and recurring and recurring. It's not just a one-time purchase. So again, I point to that as to what really made us who we were, Chris, at Core Health Products. And that was, we all were committed to the mission, to the message, to, our calling, what we believed our calling was from a knowledge standpoint and everything else. It wasn't about getting rich. It was about coming up with new products, new education, new pieces for us to make a living, but throw it back in there and grow Core Health Products and help more people. And that's really what we did. And you see over the years with Core Health, all the different products and programs that we came out with. And every single time one would come out, that would add an additional $20,000, $30,000 minimum to the books. And that would have to be redone on each product every 90 days or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And eventually, those things got better for all of us,
Sure.
Things got better. We got to a really, really good point. And I think, when we were really, when it was really at its height, I would put that probably around 2014 through 2017.
Yeah.
That was probably our height. It took us about 4 years or so to really get to the rise, right? We're talking about the rise and the fall of Core Health Products in this episode. And so I would put it right around 2014 through 2017. We have increased our salaries. We were financially, we were, nobody was really, from our standpoint, we weren't like worried about money. It wasn't about a big thing. Like I said, this was like something that we were just growing, that we all were invested in the growth of the company. And it showed. And it showed in our actions, our attitudes, our desire to work. Nobody woke up every day hating what they did. We all enjoyed it. It was pure, it was honest. And what I want to do for you and for the audience is kind of to go through sort of the height of those years, and comment on some of the pictures of some of the things that you've done, and maybe some of the things through this picture montage I have for the audience, because this was our height, whether it be events, and I couldn't fit everybody into some pictures. I only chose a handful. Whether it been you are now established back as the nutritionist to the pros, even though you don't like that dubbing of the name. You were working with, like I said, 28 to 30 Major League Baseball teams, but that didn't end there, Shan. Most people don't know we were working with tons of minor league programs through these affiliate systems. Olympics. We were landing PGA. We were landing NFL athletes. I can remember. I can give you people names, because I get to see I dealt with all the orders, and I would go, holy crap, who is this guy? Is this really this person ordering? Oh yeah. He was down at Fisher's, and he grabbed a brochure and he orders from our website now. There were and I would call you and you'd go, wow, that's crazy. Or, one of the biggest stories, right? We did you did some work with the NBA. We weren't fully grasping in the NBA like that you probably were in the Infinity days, but we were working back to that. And during the height, during this run, there was a team called the Miami Heat, and they had taken one of our players from Cleveland. We're not going to mention names. And you were working with Bill Ferran over at the Miami Heat again, and he told you, hey, Shan, not every player on the team uses the core pack, but I could tell you which ones do, and they really enjoy the product. And we're not going to drop names here, but I'm going to let the audience guess who that might be. But this was the height, right? We were doing some amazing things. You were, working with Derrick Rose. We were working with, some of the athletes from the Chicago Bulls, right? When a lot of things were happening, we were going to those NBA teams or the NBA training things in Chicago. I would drive up, you would fly in, and we were landing some of those athletes, some of those teams. We were doing some amazing stuff at that time. So, I want everybody to kind of enjoy this little montage of some pictures. And please,
at that time, we had finally scraped enough money together as well to get the NSF certification.
Yeah.
That NSF certification, you're talking about tens of thousands. I'll bet over, just a couple year period of time, we probably spent a couple $250,000 just on certifications. And, so yeah, we kept putting all of our money back in. And you're right. We were growing. U.S. men's national soccer team, U.S. women's national soccer team, NBA, NFL, Evander Holyfield, just the names go on and on and on.
It was crazy. I mean, almost every year we had, I think it was every year except for when I believe it was the Astros, maybe when they were in the World Series. We had every team that was in the World Series for it was 6 years straight or something. Yeah. Every single year we had both teams. So we couldn't.
And the umpires.
When
the Diamondbacks and the Yankees were playing the World Series, it was surreal. I looked over at my wife. We're at the game. It was here in Arizona. I looked over and I said, every person on that field is taking Core Health products.
Mm-hmm.
Every person, the umpires, the teams, the coaches. I mean, how many people in the world can say that?
Yeah. What's super cool is Cleveland Indians went to the World Series in 2016. And that was an amazing year for Cleveland sports. But we were getting orders throughout the playoffs to go to the Progressive Field, at that point. And we were like, ship them to us and we're going to go hand deliver them. And so, Liz actually, she got to go in, she got to hand deliver products It wasn't to the it was to the sort of the gatekeepers, but we got to go into part of the the stadium to hand that off. So it was really cool. We got we got a picture down there, but we were doing some things like we're going down to hand them stuff for a playoff run, right?
Yeah.
Product for a playoff run. We're going, who are we, right? Because here we are, EcoQuest, you know, just learning nutrition, just studying this stuff out, because most people don't know our story. We're going, especially in the case of Liz, like she wanted to be a nutritionist at this point, and like you encouraged her, why go the route to get certified when they're teaching the same things that aren't working, right? And so we didn't go that route, but she became self-educated through a lot of the doctors that we worked with here at Core Health, through a lot of other people. And, we weren't really anybody's. And we got these really amazing opportunities. And, Shan got to talk to these trainers. He was friends with them. I don't even know how much nutrition he would talk with them after time, because they would call me on the phone. And because, for whatever reason, they would call me, and they would be asking me questions about the product or other things. And I'm going, I guess you're not talking nutrition with Shan. He's just getting you product, and you guys are buddies rubbing elbows, I guess, and you're just buddy. And they're your friends. And then they're calling me. I'm going, well, why are you learning this from me? You should already know this from Shan. It was interesting because these were just your friends. Like, you had developed relationships with these people, and here I am getting to be the same Core Health customer service to general folk as to head trainers. I mean, one of the most embarrassing stories, because I don't follow hockey, and this is dating a little bit later in the storyline. I'll show this montage in a second. But one of the most embarrassing stories was, and I told you, and you would have been embarrassed too, was this team contacted me and they said, "Hey, we're a hockey team," and they called themselves the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And I'm like, okay. And I know a lot of minor league teams. They all have these like fanciful names like that, because major league teams don't have this kind of name. So I'm going, oh, this is another affiliate of some type of major league program. And they're going, okay, so we need to get some product, get them all set up, spend a lot of time with them, probably on the phone, probably 45 minutes with this guy. Super great guy. And they loved the product. And he's like, yeah, we got a big game tonight. And I'm going, okay. Like, I should probably Google this team. Like, holy smokes. This is, they're in the Stanley Cup right now. They're a first year NHL team. I had no clue because I didn't follow it that closely. And here they are in the middle of the Stanley Cup finals. And Core Health Products is supplying products to the team. And you're going, I had no clue either. And here they are in their second order in the Stanley Cups, and we're going, and they're paying for the product. It wasn't the message that we were presenting to people was a simple premise of nutrient utilization over nutrient consumption. This is why this montage actually took place. It is why, people trusted you, Shan. And that was my point of, like, you're not talking nutrition with them. You didn't need to. You were friends with them because they fully trusted you, that you said, hey, just take it. Just do this. Let me show you the blood work. Sold. Don't need to ask questions anymore. And then when they would get on the phone, I'd go, wait. Oh, did you know it works for this as well? And they go, had no clue. It's because they were just in a trusted system, because they felt like family, just like, all of our rest of our customers, our employees. Yeah. And so here for everybody, are some of the things that you got to do. Every year we would bug you to get pictures. You hated this, Shan. Shan absolutely hated this.
Hated it.
Me and Liz would say, get a picture, go do this. You're gonna go. You're right at Duke. You're dropping off product to Duke. You're at the Reds. You're at the Rangers. Here you are at the Dodgers, and you're like, oh come on, these are my these are my buddies. I don't want to take pictures with them and seem like a fanboy. I'm going, Shan, this is part of marketing. This is what we have to do. And you know, you are more comfortable in this type of setting. Here you are working with a bunch of soon to be NFL athletes,
Yeah.
college players, and this was your goal. You just wanted to teach these guys how they could improve their health, improve their careers. I mean, look at their blood work, for crying out loud, in this picture.
Yep.
And then, even more comfort zone is when you were down at Fisher's. Obviously, all these pictures are from Fisher's. And why don't you tell us a little about this one?
Yeah, he actually became a pretty close friend, Michael Robinson. He loved he loved everything we stood for. Mike, he's a real deal. He's really somebody that cares about life, cares about people, cares about feelings, and cares about really finding what's real in health and nutrition and everything. He had his own show, the Mike Robb Show, and he did an interview with me, which actually a portion of it got aired on ESPN. And so just another one of the many individual athletes. There was with Donovan McNabb. They're in that same facility. In fact, it might have even been the same day, because I know they were shooting some content for his show, and it got aired on ESPN. Lots and lots of people emailed me, messaged me, I saw you on ESPN. I saw you. So yeah, that was one of the good ones.
Yeah, and here you are, spring trainings, Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
You just did, I mean, you were all over the place at that time. You were doing some amazing stuff. NFL teams. When this was, obviously every year it was dredging. I mean, as much as you love to go hang out with these guys, going on spring training was grueling, because it was like old EcoQuest all over again.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Keep getting through those so we can
yeah,
can move on.
it's stuck on them. So
Yeah, this stuff's tough. It was so hard for me to get pictures and
yeah. And so, but here's a great one. Most people don't even know what this is. This was, you'd come into Ohio and you shot a TV show here every time you came in.
Yeah.
With our great friend Janet Hawkins, who's a naturopath here in Ohio. I mean, just stuff like that. Here, this is Liz and Norma Jean, and she would put on 300-person events, gala events, and have you as the main speaker, Dennis and Norma. We did a lot of things, here on that trip. Here's a picture with, Yvette and some trainers, and the pictures are freezing on me, so I'm only going to get through one more. Here's obviously you with Larry Fitzgerald. So I showed all these pictures that, we were doing big things. We were doing small stuff. It wasn't about, and then all the Kangen events, all the different things that I didn't get to show the pictures of that time span. You were doing some amazing stuff, but I will tell you, us as a team, we viewed those small events, those interviews, and the athletes, they were all the same. Nothing was different. It wasn't anything different. It was all the same. And I think that was, truly, and I would say this, yes, those years of 2014 through 2017 might have been our height of everything, but it was really the height of like true care for that customer. That was it.
Yeah.
It was really it.
That's where a lot of the challenge started too, though, Chris. You see some, I don't know if bad's the right word, but coming out of good. And the fact that all of these teams and athletes and organizations, and the time that I've spent, after you've sat on the bench at an NBA game with a team, it's not fun anymore to go to a basketball game and sit even on the sixth or eighth or 10th or 15th row mid court. It's just not the same. So I started, honestly, I think I started becoming a little bit numb to the specialness of it. And it really started to become, I love them and I'm going to be here every step of the way for them, just like I am with, with every single customer of ours. But dang, I got to get on another plane, go back out to Miami with the Heat, sit down, with them. The specialness of it started to wear away a little bit. I respected it. I loved it. But I also started getting pretty exhausted.
Yeah, that grind really started setting in. And I knew for you, you were the traveler. Your kids are getting old at this point.
Yeah.
You're getting a son who's getting close to graduating. All your other kids are growing up. And when they're little, it was tough to go away from them. But they didn't really understand. Now you're traveling so much, but they fully understand.
Yeah.
And I think, as a husband, as a father, your desire was 100% to be home as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It was right around that time. Like I said, it started becoming a little bit more of a job, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really when I started thinking, what am I going to do? I can't clone a Shan. We even tried that process with one of my sons.
Well, we even tried it with Shane Williamson.
We did. We tried,
yeah.
But ultimately in the end, it was, no, we need, we want Shan to come to this event and speak,
mm-hmm.
which, to this day I'm still humbled about. But I started really sitting back at night and realizing, what am I going to do? I gotta figure something out, because I'm taken away from my family and kids and the days and the times and the era where I need to be spending more time with them. And yet it was getting tougher and tougher and tougher.
Yeah. And just like every roller coaster, they go up and they come down, and some of them, they come way down. And that was the next stage. I mean, right. We just talked about the rise. We spent the most of the time on the rise. We're not going to spend a whole hour talking about the demise, right? Because I think you would end up crying way too much. But this was at that moment in that time that started to occur and started to happen is, what do we do next? Situations were already taking place. We transitioned from Will, who was our graphic designer during this period. Our branding was built on Will, right? Will was our branding. He was doing all that. And then we brought on your brother. So your brother was working for the company for a little bit of time. Then he moved on to something else as well during that time. So here we are. It's now Jody's been out during this period. Jody's been out as lead shipping manager. So she got burnt out on shipping majorly, going down there. So we went through probably 5 shipping people. And so during this period, it ends up being you, me, Liz, and Shirlene, which is our accountant. And Shirlene's only called on when we need her for accounting. So it's really just me, you, and Liz.
Yeah.
With you getting your ear from Jody, getting a advice and things of that nature. And so here we are at this point. You're doing, oh gosh, any Kangen event you could do. You're being called to every single one. People are wanting you out. People are wanting a piece of Shan all the time. And we're just trying to always stay in and reinvent the wheel, do this stuff. What happened next is really the start of that. And I want you to share that story there.
Well, as you said, everything that goes up must come down, or usually comes down at least. And It was right at that time where if I had one day at home, that was fortunate. I was gone 6 days a week, if not more, and in a lot of cases. And as I said, I started thinking a little bit more about what am I going to do? How am I going to? I can't keep doing this. And it wasn't something that I thought out or explored, or there was just that little thing in my mind that said, throw it out in the universe, maybe something will come along that'll help me. And because of the teams and organizations and the growth and the perception that people had of Core Health Products and what a good company it was, I was getting hit up a lot from a lot of people on different ideas or concepts, a lot of investors. There were a few professional athletes that offered, several $100,000 of investment into Core Health Products for us to, quote unquote, take it to the next level. And I could never get the right feeling about that stuff. And, so kind of to cut right to the chase, an individual came along that was very good with words. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that's called marketing, whatever you want to call it, and laid out for me that, oh, Shan, how in the world are you doing all this work? And your company should be, it should be on TV, it should be on commercials, it should be in other countries. You should be thousands of times bigger than you are right now, and you shouldn't have to do all this work. Man, that I never ever forget. Almost just the first time I took a deep breath and thought, maybe there's an opportunity here. And so I at least listened to the presentation. Then a few days went by and we in contact again. And it was, I've got offices all over the world. I've got offices in China. I've got offices in, all these Asian countries. I do retail for all of the big box stores right here in the U.S., from Walmart to, I do all these things. That's what my company does. We take companies and make them big, and we can get you on TV. We can get you on interviews. We can get you set up on, at the time, shows like Oprah Winfrey, I think, or something like that. And the words that really clouded my mind: you don't have to do any of the bad stuff you don't like anymore, as far as the marketing efforts, the worrying about packing or packing materials or having product or ordering product or inventory. Your specialty is speaking and putting products together. And that's all you will have to do. You won't have to do anything else. I am a marketer. My company is a marketer. My team is marketing. We've done it all over the world. And I think, Chris, if when I'm completely honest about it, I think deep down in my heart and in my gut, I I knew that maybe this probably wasn't the right thing to do for my company and for myself and my family, but I was exhausted. And I thought, if we can do this and take Core Health to where, it really should be, I couldn't do it by myself. I had to have something big like that to do it. And that's really where it started. Obviously not going to get into any of the details because it really doesn't matter. But a lot of people think that, oh, Shan, just sold Core Health Products out from underneath, and we all lost in the end because there's no more product out here from Core Health. That's not the case. I'm not the best businessman. I'll say it right up front. And I was, the discussion and what was laid out to me was a stock swap, so to speak, ownership swap. I got X amount of his company, that company, their company, that whatever you want to call it. They got Core Health Products, but it was just on paper because it was, ownership stock swap. And so long story short, I went ahead with it thinking, man, if I can just develop product and go and speak, I can touch a lot of lives and I don't have to worry about this. And I'm freaking exhausted. Met with the family, talked with the family. They, of course, said, hey, we support you in whatever we do. We did it. So instantly, Core Health Products LLC, owned by Shan Stratton, became an entity and turned into a corporation within a supposedly much larger corporation of companies. It was incorporated with other divisions, and all I had to do was formulate product. I don't want to skip over too much or anything, but it was not very long after that that I found myself nothing more obviously than a member of, the executive team. I was on the board of directors, of course, but now all of a sudden, my little Core Health Products that were doing big things has to answer to a board of directors, investors, investment groups, other executives. And I very quickly lost control of Core Health Products. And as probably most corporations do, they make decisions based on the bottom dollar. And the first thing that went was our marketing efforts, the grassroots efforts, the raw, heartfelt interviews, webinars. Our marketing department basically got taken over by corporation, and it changed completely from a grassroots educational company to we have to sell product, sell, and our margins mean something. So our products have to be charged more. And Shan, you have to take a look at formulation because we've got to find where we can cut raw product. And I can't do that. I couldn't do that. And so I found myself swimming in a corporation that was responsible to the board of directors and other executives that were making decisions that I really didn't have a whole lot of control over. And that went on about a year. I tried so hard to figure out how do I do right by the old customers, by my family, by the Chris and Liz Baileys. How do I do right by the Trisha Gonzalez's and Debbie's and Will's and all the customers that are out there? And I had no control. I lost my control, and it was no one's decision but my own. But it was the wrong decision. It wasn't intentional to hurt anybody, but it was the wrong decision, and I very, very quickly lost control. And about a year and a half into it, I couldn't have any more sleepless nights. I couldn't have any more lies going out. I couldn't have any more back order of products, and I promise it's on the way because in my gut I had a feeling that the product wasn't maybe on the way because I wasn't in charge of fulfillment. I wasn't in charge of any of that stuff. And so about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years into it, I had to walk away with nothing, none of my ownership. And it was in the contract, obviously, that if I just chose myself to walk away, then I got nothing, no compensation, no severance, no insurance. But if I obviously got let go for another choice, then I would do that. Or if I would stay, I would continue to have my ownership and my, there was always the big promise of we're going to go public and it's going to be worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so I walked away signed a resignation, put it on the desk, and walked away. And that was about, I think, what, Chris, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And most people didn't know that I walked away. So most of my old Core Health customers felt like, and many still do today until they know the story, that I was still involved and I wasn't. I was no longer involved with that company in the way they were treating the customers, the way they were treating everything going on there, our marketing, our raw, personal, heartfelt testimonials, our waking up every day and enjoying meeting with people and talking with people. My 5 a day program that for years and years I would call 5 customers every single day to say thank you. That all went away. And it's no one's fault but my own. But I want everybody to know from the day I walked away 3.5, whatever many years ago it was, that I had no more control, no more say. Whatever happened, and I've heard story after story after story after story of people calling saying, Shan, I ordered product 6, 8, 10 months ago and I still don't have it and I can't get a refund, and I had no contact whatsoever legally. I had no contact. And that's really, I mean, I was at the bottom of the bottom.
Mhm.
I had lost everything, including the trust of most of our Core Health customers. And I was in the darkest days of my life because incorrect information and untruths were being told
Mhm.
in something that I had lost and was my passion and was my love and was developed and created with my family in a little basement funded from my wife's jewelry on Craigslist. And it took me a while to be able to get the funds back together, the energy back together, the confidence back together to make that phone call to Chris Bailey and say, let's make another run at it and make it right. Let's do it again and let's get back to those old customers and let them know how sorry I am. And that's why you see the pricing of the products the way they are, Chris. You know my margins right now at Restore. That's what happened. And there's nobody to blame but myself. I don't believe I was told proper information, but that's the way life is. And I made a bad decision. But I
Well,
promise you I'll make amends for it with Restore Health, and we will make people whole again, get them the product they deserve with the proper true ingredients that they buy, that they pay for. The product will be on time. The product will not be back ordered. Customer service will be there to help you and educate you and direct you and guide you and hold your hand. I will be there to do interviews. I will be there to, I owe a
mhm.
lot of people a lot.
Well, so um, the day that you left Core Health, um, because of his major struggles happening, lots of things going on that I wasn't even really privy to, between you and the company. And I was already sort of mistreated by the company. We've already, have
Yeah.
the feeling and I'm not trying to put anything on them. They're a big company mentality, who didn't care about the small ways that we did business. Um, Liz was greatly hurt by them. We were greatly hurt by them. Um, and we weren't important. We were important to keep the sales coming in, but as people, we weren't important anymore. Um,
Chris, we were all told we're going to be sold. We're going to be at every shelf in every retail store. We're going to have deals in China. We never carried in a retail store.
yeah.
We never, the story of the China deal. That that broke me. It broke us.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I felt like an obligation. Most people ask me, why would you stay? Why would you stay? And I go back to 10 years earlier when we're rocking at Core Health, having a good time. It wasn't about the finances. It wasn't about that stuff. Our philosophy, and I would tell Shan this, and I would preach it to him continuously over and over and over. If we treat the customer as king and they are the most important thing, business and finances will just be a blessing of us doing that consistently. And you left. We stopped talking. I didn't. I didn't. You didn't even tell me you quit. I don't think you could tell me you quit. I'd hear from them that you quit. And it's not that we weren't in a good relationship at that point. Um, I just think, and then you called me the following Monday and let me know, but I had already known the day of because they let me know, and they thought I was going to go with you because my allegiance would have been to you, and they were already concerned about that. And I made it very clear to them. I was in this because I trusted Shan. I'm in this to support our customers. And as hard as it was for me to stay on with them for a year, knowing the things that I knew, knowing the people, um, that things that we have been hurt, things that have been said behind our backs. I stayed for those customers. I stayed for them. And as weird as that may sound, as crazy as that may sound, um, but it came to a head. I was dog sick with the Delta COVID variant in August, and things were just not good. Back ordered, getting calls. Um, 1 second, Liz, I need. And I was getting all of these, people saying, "Where's my product? I need product." And I'm seriously, literally dead at this point. I just felt extremely dead. Sorry about this. I have to plug that laptop in, um, and it is dying on me, and I'm going to lose it. Sorry about that, everybody. Um, and at that moment and at that time, that's when God basically told me, "You've had enough. You've had enough. You have done what you were needed to do." And I had nothing planned, um, nothing to do. I just couldn't take another day. The stress was killing me. As the stress was killing you when you decided you could no longer take it any longer. I stuck on for another year, and you weren't talking about anything. You weren't telling me, "Hey, I'm going to do anything at this moment in this time." For you, I think you rebounded pretty quickly, um, because you had developed a lot of friendships at that time. Um, and so you found yourself, in this next season of life, for almost a year, um, just getting on your feet with a company called Green Tech. And we're brought into an industry that you know nothing about, although you know a lot about it because you were with EcoQuest, and Green Tech is an offshoot of EcoQuest. And so you worked that and got yourself really back on your feet and started to shake off the past few years of Core Health and the hurt that you've been in, the sleepless nights, the terrible feelings you feel, because this is not just eating at Shan the person. Your conscious is just being
Yeah,
attacked continually, right?
yeah, and on top of that, Chris, many of you that will be watching this, you were probably one of many, many, many that would send me a message. "Shan, how can you do this to us? I ordered product from you, 6 months ago, and I still don't have it, and you're not refund." And I had been gone by that time for a year and a half, 2 years, but I couldn't do anything. There's nothing I could do about it. There's nothing that I could do. I couldn't go back and slander or talk bad about, the company or the ownership or anything like that. Nor did I want to. That's not who I am. But it was constant dripping on me of, what did you do to us? Why did you do this to us as customers? And I get it. I understand that. I don't blame anybody for feeling that way. And I'm glad that I, finally get to tell the whole story and people understand that I lost every single bit financially, everything, every single thing. And so, as you say, I found myself pretty quickly. I did. I had to find a way, like I did the first time before Core Health, to start scraping a little bit here and there to pull enough together to order a first product.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we do that, I want to ask you this, and I don't know if it's too personal. Don't answer it, because you'll know where I'm going with this. But emotions that you carried for all of those years brought on some health challenges for you. I don't know if you want to share that, because that's something you've never made public. It's never been brought up, because here you are, the health guy. But as we know, storing emotions, stress, these things affect the body in ways that no nutrient can overcome. And it is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. That's again what the Restore Cast is all about. And that's going back to my commitments that I've always had. I have, I have no secrets per se. I will talk about anything, anytime with anybody. And I can tell you that not being true to yourself, not being true to your heart, letting things verbally come out of your mouth that deep down in isn't the truth, will kill you. It will affect you. It will hurt your health. And there is no pill, no capsule, no nutrient, no fruit, no vegetable, no enzyme that can cover that up. And I was hurting because of the actions and the thoughts and the processes that I was going through. And so, here I am, the healthiest person I know. And I started having, health issues. I started having some emotional and mental issues. I went through some really, really serious depression, anxiety, regret. And the thing that I kept being able to hold on to was the gratitude of a mom and dad, a dad that taught me just always be honest. And you can always pull yourself back up. And I knew that I could do that. But right at that time, I was just physically, emotionally, psychologically, financially hurt, crushed, done. And so I guess, again, that's part of what this Restore Cast is all about. And as I've said, we're going to have everyone from religious leaders, priests, bishops, monks, I don't care, to politicians, to professional athletes. But I want to address and I want to give everyone an opportunity to find restoration in things that may be hurting them in their life, whether it's physical or emotional or financial. And I want to give them opportunities through the Restore Cast to hear from some of the experts, from hear some of the stories and relate to some of the things that people are going through. But I know there are many of you that can relate to the stories that I'm telling about making some choices that I knew deep in my heart weren't the ethical choices. And I'm sorry for that. But we'll make it right. Fortunately, I can say I've regained my health. I've been able to be honest, apologize to the people that I've needed to apologize to, mainly myself and my family, for losing it all again. And even doing and saying things that I knew. Yeah, we're back though, Chris,
Yeah. And so, we didn't want to spend a ton of time, but you needed to share that. But this is part of the restoration for you, publicly putting this out there. Honestly, it's public. People can see this. People need to know the full story. not just because of the story, no, the core health story, but to know that there's a your downfalls or decisions you make, they don't determine who you will become, or
Yeah.
they may have defined you in that moment that you've made bad decisions, and they may, right? But there's restoration in all things. And that the next part of this story, right, is you deciding green tech. You put all your eggs in this basket. You started a program over there and said, okay, I'm getting ready to launch this thing, do this. And I could tell you, I know Shan Stratton very well. Building a business, building anything other than something not around enzymes is not Shan Stratton. As much as you can try to push Shan into something else. Hey, look, I'll quickly go back before Core Health started. Between that, Shan was pushing, or he got contracted by a spice company to have a vitamin spice.
Yeah.
And it was probably a great product, and it was vitamins inside of a spice, and put it in there, and it wasn't centered around enzymes. It wasn't Shan Stratton. As much as we love the air purification technologies at Green Tech Environmental, and shout out to Alan and everybody over there, it's not Shan Stratton. Enzyme, whole food based nutrition is what Shan started that premise on when he had his when the door was cracked open with Gene Monahan, and he had a 15-minute speech that he ultimately learned to speak from his heart about, which then he ended up doing for the rest of his career, which he'll do until the day he dies. Enzyme, whole food based nutrition. And all of a sudden, here's this idea for the Restore Cast. And before we get there, because I want to get back to core health just really quickly, because in our good period, in our good time, there are some people that I'd like to mention. And if there's anybody that you would like to mention as well, just a quick shout out and what they meant to the company. Great supporters of the company. David Ebert, he was a huge part of our Tennessee group out there, and just a good friend to our company. John Nardozzi, he was a blog writer for us, did some amazing stuff, and I want to make sure that he gets a lot of credit and a lot of the content that was being pushed out. Another gal, and you can maybe talk a little about her, Ashley. She's married now, but then she was known as Ashley McTucker, and she did some blog writing for us, and she was just a great person and support staff for us. So those are some of the really special people that I remember, and there's going to be some people maybe that you remember as well that from those good days of Core Health.
Yeah, there are so many of them, and as a speaker, you're always told never start listing names because you can never list them all, and you're going to forget many. So I think I'm going to take my time to personally call many of them. As I said, I am restored, if you will, recommitted to bringing back what everyone had known me for in the beginning, and I'm through that. I'm working through that process. We have a company that we're slowly bringing on new products as I can finance them, and internally, personally, we're back exactly like we were when Core Health started, Chris. I scraped enough money together and sold enough things to place our first order, Gut Restore, and we're able to put it at the same price that we did back when we had Core Health products in the beginning, which with inflation and everything else, it's just no company can do that. We launched some packs, we're doing these things and making sure that everyone has access to it at the exact same pricing as they did back when I was at Core Health Products, back when I started the company. And so we've got, even in this area of inflation and ridiculous costs of ingredients and price of bottles and price of lids and price of boxing and price of shipping, and everything is skyrocketed. I committed to making sure that everyone has access to those at the exact same price. I can't keep it at that price, Chris, as you know,
Yeah.
but I say that story just to say I know I owe a lot of old customers of Core Health products, and I will make it right the very best way that I can. And right now, that is by coming out with the best products, following the same philosophies that I've always taught, that's backed by nature, will never change. Follow the laws of nature. You can never go wrong. God created ingredients and products and foods specifically in a way for a specific reason. We follow those, we mimic those, and making sure that people have access to the information and the knowledge that they can be better physically, financially, emotionally, every way possible. And we're doing that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of why you name the company Restore Health Plus.
Yep.
It's really Restore Health, right? It is not only every aspect of health. We can go back. It's a puzzle piece, right? There's a puzzle piece to health, and it's not just supplementation. It's not just adding in alkaline water. It's not just getting proper sleep. It's not being emotionally, spiritually. It's a combination of all of these things. What health is. If you're off in just one of those areas, there's no restoration that can truly happen. And that's why I think it's so valuable what this podcast is, going to do. We're not perfect people. And yet we're on this path of restoration daily, whether it be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. What little steps can we take each time to help restore? And I think for you guys watching and listening, one message out to Shan. What do you want him to hear? What things, because we have the ability to really address all of those things this year. So, if you're watching this and you're a former athlete of Shan's, come on, talk. We're not just talking about nutrition. We didn't even talk about nutrition today. We didn't get into all the nuances of why enzymes are so valuable for digestion of protein, carbs, and fats and sugars, and turning these things into amino acids so your body can recognize. We didn't talk about any of that today. We will. We're going to, because that's a part of restoration. Come on, share your story that you may have with Shan, because it's going to be valuable to the watcher, to the listener. Because as much as the good things we're doing and making sure, like with this new company, right? We just launched these new packs, and when you look at the 2-pack or the 3-pack option that we have, these things address every vital nutrient the body needs to restore those aspects of health, from omega fatty acids to enzymes, probiotics, whole food vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. It's all coupled in there, and I'll tell you this, Shan, Core Health products, with Restore Health, we did not do this at Core Health. We did not have the ability to achieve what we've done. We did it with one product over there where we've used organic ingredients for your entire career.
Right.
But to get that USDA seal is another special step. And we were able to do that with our hyper greens. We did it with our core greens, and we've done it with the hyper greens now. But you've been able to do that with the new product and Nutrient Restore. And so we now have 2 products that are USDA organic. We're doing things that people have always asked us to do and work on. Maybe we can't get to that NSF certification right now and get back to the teams. Maybe we can't do that. Our goals are to do what we've done in the past. But our goal is to deliver the best products for your life to restore that aspect. And if any way that we can help, whether it be over the phone, customer service, emailing into Shan on these other things, we're not experts at all things, but we'd like to be a part of that restoration. And I think how we can do that, Shan's going to be doing that with this Restore Cast. And so I'm so excited for what this year holds for you, Shan, because you're in a different place. And I will tell you this, and this is me being honest with you. So Shan called me in the last episode. Shan calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, right? And here's this guy, Shan Stratton, on the phone. He's a nutritionist pros. I'm like, oh my gosh, Shan Stratton's calling me. I'm just gonna do whatever he asks, whatever he says. Um, that developed into a friendship. You trusted me, I trusted you. During those dark times of Core Health during that fall, we went from talking every day on the phone 5, 6 times a day to barely talking once a day for the first year, to barely going, well, may not talk to Shan today, may not talk to Shan tomorrow, and I'm the right hand man to the field out here needing answers, needing questions. It was frustrating for me, right? It was very frustrating, but I wasn't just losing a boss because I developed new bosses, right? I've developed new boss. Shan was no longer my main boss, but I was losing a friend at that time too. You didn't want to talk to me probably because of the guilt of, well, I don't want to say something to you. You admitted to that many times. But even throughout that the developing to get to this restore, right? It's even taken us, that short period of time to, from before, to, you know, um, regain what we had in that when we were at our best, right? When it was at this, we're here at this roller coaster top. Yeah, we're employees, but we're doing this as a family, as a friends. We were all on the same page, whether it been Will or Trisha, we were all on the same page. We all had each other's backs. Nobody was gossiping, bickering towards one another to, you know, I may not hear from Shan for 2 weeks at the very end of Core Health Products. And then when you left to go get restored elsewhere, we were talking like as friends, but it was, you were busy over here, I was busy over here, and I didn't want to share with you Core Health news and your frustration. You didn't want to hear that. And I wanted to talk about it. And you're like, no, and you got Green Tech. Luckily, we got to work together a little bit at Green Tech. But there was even that for me, right? For me and Liz, it was that even restoration of, I think for you, you had lost who you were for a long time. You had not just the things that you have done, like in business wise, but you had lost everything, right? You had lost the person you were in many regards for a few years because of the stress, the frustration, the
embarrassment.
But not only embarrassment, the anger you had towards certain people, right? That affects you in every way. And I think, when we talked about that, is now it's like you don't have to hold on to that stuff. You don't hold on to that.
Yeah.
But at that time, when you're in it, how can you not be angry at certain things? You tell us you're getting product, and you don't get product. We got to tell a customer, oh, it's coming tomorrow, and it doesn't come for 6 months. I was in the same boat you were, Shan.
Yeah.
I was telling people things, and I apologize to everybody. And I try to make it right by everybody. I would go with what I was told, but my gut would tell me something different. My gut's saying it's not coming. Yeah, they promised me it's coming Friday. That was Friday 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was really, really weighing on me for a long time. I think we all lost who we were because we would have never compromised like that before.
Yeah.
But when we're in the thick of things and we're going, well, we want to be able to feed our family, we want to be able to do this, and we're just stuck. And nobody should be in that stuck position. And maybe those people who were running the company, they were in a financially stuck position, and they were doing things that they felt they needed to do because they were in a bad position with some other program they were running, right? We don't know all the situations,
There's never an excuse,
right.
A good excuse for not going with what's in your heart and in your mind. And when you talk about anger, my biggest anger over this whole time has been towards myself. Because I allowed myself to do something that beforehand I would have bet my entire life I would have never done. And it's nothing major. I didn't break any laws. I didn't go to jail or prison. I didn't, there was nothing like that. It was just so angry that I allowed myself to slowly become somebody that was not Shan. So yes, I was angry, and I still am angry to some of the day-to-day activities, and how that was handled, how that was handled. But man, I'm not angry at oh, that darn guy, he screwed me. This I made the decision. I signed the contract.
Hmm.
I agreed to it.
Yeah.
I moved my offices. I gave up control of marketing. I gave up control of pricing. I gave up control of who dictates where we're going to do event, when we're going to do an event, and why we're going to do an event. Those are my decisions. I gave that up. So the anger is pointed at me.
Hmm.
All the rest of it is, that was unfortunate, and I'm going to learn from that from a business perspective. But I got to get over my anger, and today has been a huge help for that. A lot of people may not know or even believe this, but outside of my wife and maybe a few very, 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 very close friends, such as yourself, Chris, no one's heard my whole story. No one's heard about the downfall of Core Health Products and Shan Stratton's relationship. Today's the first time that I've been able to sit and just lay it out there. And it will definitely allow me to release a lot of that anger towards myself, because that's one of the first steps in restoring yourself, is admitting what you did wrong and then forgiving yourself for it. And part of that process is what we're doing, Chris, offering the Restore Cast, offering, our products and our packs at a cost that is just, we can't make a living, Chris. I mean, let's just be honest about it. The
Hmm.
prices that we're allowing customers, the old Core Health customers, to come in at, we can't, we're not going to ever become a rich family. But it's going to allow me to become emotionally rich. It's going to allow me to become, all of those things. Then we can start getting back to doing what we're doing. As I said, the prices that you see on the packs and stuff right now, we've admittedly said we're not going to be able to keep that price forever. But
Hmm.
it's a part of a step in a process that's allowing me, and I think you and some others, to be able to say, okay, we made some mistakes. Let's make amends for it. Let's forgive ourselves, and then let's go back and create that unbelievably solid, ethical, honest, committed to the customer company like we had at Core Health Products, now called the Restore Health.
Hmm.
Restore
And I
Health.
think it's fitting. Yeah, and I think it's a fitting name for the whole entire journey, because we've taken it from from the time of playing sports in school and all the challenges to today, right? It's one thing after another. And you know what? Your story is different, but I'll tell you, everybody that's watching has a story. Everybody's got a story to tell, and everybody's on a path to either restore their lives or just to let those things destroy their lives. So you're going to have to make a choice whether you want to be restored or be destroyed. And our decisions and the things that we do affect those greatly. And the one thing that I love about Restore Health is the name, and what we're doing moving forward is that we're committed, right? We've been committed. We're committed to uh, any old customer that wants to come in and get on auto ship. We're going to lock that price in, and it's going to be 2010 for you guys. And we're going to keep it at that. As long as you don't delete the auto ship and try to come back 6 months later, and we'll
When
probably
you
have a little
when you say 2010, you mean back in the year
back when.
2010. I don't want anyone calling saying, "Hey, Chris said we could buy that pack at 2010,
Yeah,
$20.10."
2010. Yeah, no.
No.
Back in 2010 when Core Health started, and
Thank you.
for that 6-in-1 pack. And so um, we're right at that mark here. So we'll go ahead and end this episode. Guys, look forward to future episodes right here at the Restore Cast. Shan, where can they go to find Restore Health, and where can they go to find this podcast every single week?
Well, you're watching it on the YouTube channel, so obviously, subscribe to that down below. Follow us on Facebook, Restore Health Plus. We're on Instagram, go to our website and make sure that you subscribe to all of our emails and stuff. Obviously, restorehealthplus.com. Send me emails, messages, text, whatever it is. I want to be part of your life. Today has been unbelievably therapeutic for me. I ask for everyone's patience and forgiveness, I guess, of some of the things that happened in the past. But just know that I am back. I'm committed. Our team is coming back and committed. We will become another core health company. We will be successful. We will touch the lives of many. We will work with professional athletes. We will speak at events. We will do podcasts in the Restore Cast. We will speak on other podcasts that we're invited to speak at. We are here and committed to sharing that message and that mission that we always had been during the early days of Core Health Products. And I, Chris, have to say thank you again, man. You definitely know what questions to ask and how to ask it. And I hope that people really do believe that you and I discussed none of this before any of our interviews. So thank you very much for being my friend and all that you do, you and Liz both.
All right. Well, you bet. And guys, thank you so much. And you guys can reach me when you call the customer service number. So if you have nutrition questions or anything, we love to help out there. So make sure to go to restorehealthplus.com. Got questions, contact us, email or by phone. So I think that's it, Shan. This was a very tough episode to get through, and hopefully emotionally the rest of the day you are restored and not drained, because there's going to be some draining that happens from this. So
yep.
Yeah.
Thank you all. God bless. Let us know what you need, what you want, how we can help. Be sure and watch the Restore Cast coming forward. We got a lot of athletes and people coming on that's hopefully going to help us step through restoration in many aspects of our lives. Thank you all. God bless.
All right. Goodbye.